Hello, friends. I've been thinking about the divine authority that Jesus has, and I was reading in Matthew, and it was in Matthew 15, and actually 14, verses 22 through 23, and you'll know the story because you heard it as a kid, but it's very powerful, and it's talking about him walking on water as well as the winds just cease. And what had happened, he'd been ministering to the 5,000 people. He sent his disciples in a boat across the lake. He said, I'll join you later. He had sent the crowds away, and then he went up on the mountain to pray, spent time with God. And he came down. They'd already been in the lake quite a distance out in the boat, and the winds had really stirred up. And so this was about 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Not exactly as sure, but really early morning. And so they are in the boat being tossed around, and then they look out and they see this figure walking on the water toward them. And their response was, "It's a ghost." And they were very fearful. And Jesus said, "No, it is I. Do not fear." And so Peter, who always has the first word on everything, said, "If it is you, Lord, call me to come out to you." And Jesus just said to Peter, "Come." So Peter stepped out of the boat, and he actually is walking on water, just like Jesus was. But we know the story. All at once, Peter gets his eyes off Jesus, and he looks at the wind and the waves, and he starts to sink. And he said, "Lord, save me." And Jesus reached out, took him, got him by his hand. They walk to the boat, get in the boat, and immediately the wind ceases. So two things. Jesus had authority in the natural realm to walk on water. And the other thing is that he spoke, he just caused the wind to cease. So it was interesting as I was looking at that, some things for us, because disciples fell down and started worshiping. They knew this was God who had gotten in the boat with them. And so I thought for us, what a great story that we can relate to in life. And one of the things was that we need to spend time alone with Jesus. There'll be a time, you're busy, but there'll be a time every day when you can just spend some time in prayer and alone with him, away from phones, away from television, away from all of this. The other thing I got at that is when the wind and waves are stirred up in our lives because of what's happening in the world, in our own lives, in our businesses, in our personal relationships. If we get distracted by the wind and waves of adversity and get our eyes off of Jesus, then we can begin to sink. But if that's happened, all we have to do is just call out to Jesus, and he's going to reach out there because he's always there for us. He hears our cries, he hears our calls, and he will save us and bring us to the place he has for us. But I want to ask you a question. Is Jesus calling you out of the boat of your comfort zone to maybe an area of ministering to people, or in a Bible study, or doing some things that would make you be a little uncomfortable if you looked at the circumstances? But I want to assure you that he's getting you ready for a plan ahead that's going to be fabulous. So keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't let the wind and the waves distract you. You're going to do a great work for him. Love you.